So to my surprise, this show turned out to be a Monday show. We got episode 1 on last Wednesday, that is. I guess maybe just because of the new year, maybe it was aired a bit early, because according to Crunchyroll, this is a Monday release, which, hey, I ain't complaining. I got to watch one of the more fun, fresh Isekai series a little earlier than I thought. And episode 2 really seals the deal for this show for me, because essentially, when you come off of the first episode, and you lead into the second, of a man who essentially sells his soul to the Demon Lord army for healthcare and benefits. Which I think collectively the people watching the show kind of all say, yeah, I get it. Because when the Demon Lord in question, despite looking like Shredder from TMNT, is offering you a red carpet, the welcome basket of days, saying, hey, if you want to go home, bro, go ahead. And to see the second negotiation, we really have a good understanding of why someone like that would stick around. Not only just because seemingly the boss in question is amazing, we also get to see that the negotiations probably aren't going to be too bad for him, because not only can he pull from his, arsenal of previous negotiations, the ones in question, they're so far not shoot first, ask questions later, so the value of his life is probably pretty secure. Either way, this has been fantastic. I am loving it, and Alulu, who is a tall goddess of a woman, she is going to be a fantastic addition to the cast, though it's kind of hilarious how he cucks Omandra, who was like, oh yes, I'll be your assistant, only for him to be like, actually, I want to work with you. He does still say that he wants to work with her too, but still, it's, I'm so excited for her fiery rage. It's going to be fantastic. Now, of course, if you want to continue to support my work and show that love, I do have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to any of these episodes over there exclusively. So, out of the 2 episodes, I wouldn't necessarily say I put one over the other. I think episode 1 and 2 more or less do exactly what they need to, and they come out to be pretty great episodes. Is this Isekai going to be for everyone? No, of course not. Those who want more action-driven series will probably be left disappointed. Those who want more flash than kind of dialogue and meetings will probably be left disappointed. But if you're the type of person who enjoys really interesting dialogue, yeah, this show's going to be right up your alley. The idea that for this one, we have the Ogre Tribe. So we have a pretty proud and prideful group, despite times being a little tough. They don't want to basically be merged into one big entity, right? Like, they have their pride. They'd rather go down the ship, despite food running low, equipment being a little rusted and worn down. At the end of the day, this is a group that's like, we would rather go down fighting than bend the knee and be merged into some group, right? And despite a partnership and annexing not really being all that different at face value, it still is based on the wording, and that wording for a prideful leader was really the big thing. And he did it pretty quickly. He did it in like 10 days, because initially we go and talk, and then there's a week later, and then a few days later. So about 10 days, we'll say, it took for him to reach this W, which is actually pretty quick. Because, I mean, it's surprising in a way, because I guess when you look at it from a lot of these shows' points of views, despite maybe not having the negotiation skills of something like RMC, they would punch their way to victory. So despite having fiery, hot-tempered women like her, I mean, despite her not really being great at negotiating, I guess if they had the power and the numbers to continue to push through, nothing like that would really stop. But seeing the night and day difference of someone who's like, hey, I get frustrated, but I'm not going to show that at face value. That ruins negotiations. And the idea of just how he goes about, because I remember seeing some people last episode say how they thought he wasn't as confident, maybe as, if you're going to be one of the big 4 of a Demon Lord army, should you have that kind of timid, expressions? But I didn't really see that as an issue, because ultimately you just plucked a normal human out of reality and threw him into the middle of a monster-driven war. Like, anyone who thinks they'd be more confident than him has watched too many generic power fantasies, because no, you wouldn't. But I will say, I understand if that would be a long-term issue, because eventually you do have to get a little more used to it. I just wasn't expecting it to happen so soon, because this man actually came out swinging by the second episode with confidence, and I think those criticisms from the last episode mostly are now gone. If, you did have that, like, I wish he had a little more confidence in his negotiations. Well, here you go right here. Like, he nailed it. Like, he had a lot of confidence. And they continue to have very fun expressions with these characters. I don't think this is going to be one of the best animated shows of the season. but you have to admit they do have great expressions, whether it's that fiery temper from our girl. Sometimes he has, our MC has a bit of a shocked, kind of like elongated face. And just in general, I like the kind of the back and forth banter. And we also got a little taste of what he'll be like when characters are flirting with him. And when you look at the show in question, there's gonna be a dozen waifus for him. Like, we're not gonna kid ourselves. Most likely the Demon Lord's a girl. Most likely Big Daddy in the opening's a girl. Now, granted, we tried to meet up with her and she says that's the assistant. Doubt. I have a feeling she pretends to be the assistant when she doesn't want to do duties. That's my guess. But either way, like, there's gonna be girls for days. And while he does get flustered, he also seemingly acts like an adult who is getting flirted with. He's like, okay, not what I was expecting, but I'm not gonna cease to function because I'm 40-year-old businessman, Either way, this was a great episode. I don't think this show will be for everyone. Now, granted, you can say that about anything, but what I mean is, this isn't going to be the isekai that is going to grab the majority of isekai watchers the same way something like, a Zenshu or something like that would. I think that's pretty clear. But I will say, when you look at what this show's trying to accomplish so far, it's different. We constantly hear about the isekai medium being the same shit over and over again. And what do we have? We have a businessman who does negotiate. Like, his weapon of choice is dialogue. That is different. Not only is it different than what you typically see with this genre, it's also surprisingly has a lot of heart so far. Not only just with the character dialogue in question, but also when you look at from the ogre's point of view and what they're fighting for, that pride isn't something to scoff at or say, how could they do that? Like, no, at the end of the day, despite being sick and frail and older, he was still just trying to protect everyone, and now he can finally look at his daughter as being someone who's no longer a child to be protected, but maybe the person to pass on these responsibilities in your final years. That type of stuff is actually really good writing, and it really shows the character of this show overall. It's fun, it's funny, it's different. And I mean, when you have an isekai that's essentially a man selling his soul to a demon lord army, because really, how else do you explain that without that kind of religious terminology? He got killed, plucked from his reality, dropped into this one, and is now working for a demon lord. But who the hell wouldn't? This man is getting the best benefits known to man, and we saw how his original work. If it came to a point where he's like, hey bro, we want to nuke Earth, I'm just going to look away at that point because this man's treating me like goddamn royalty. You let me know your thoughts and feelings. I think we definitely have a good idea of what the show's going to look and function like now after 2 episodes, but let me know. You going to keep on watching this one? Down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Viper, Corbo, Casper Joel Jensen, Anthony Nugan, Adam, George Parra, and we also have Carlos D. Lopez. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.